Hi everybody, my name is Billy from Kavellaris Architects. I'm the director. Here to present Vic Sq Stage 1. So this project is quite a large project that's been in our office for a good 8 years now. It's actually 6 towers. It's located in Hopkins Street, which is really an urban renewal project for a whole precinct called the St Joseph's Road precinct. And we're only about 4 kilometres as the crow flies outside of the CBD. So our site is the largest site out of this whole Joseph Road precinct, which hugs the Maribyrnong River. It's about 13,000 square metres. It's comprised of 3 stages. The first stage in the middle being stage 1. So we did the master plan and have constructed stage 1. And one of the things with this particular project, it challenged us as architects because it's out in the west and we're predominantly used to dealing with much larger budgets for projects. So this was a very constrained budget. We had about 60,000 GFA and we built it for approximately 2,300 square metre, which was very, very challenging. And we even had to build this through COVID, which was even more challenging. And so basically you'll see below there's the greater master plan of the entire project itself for the Joseph Road precinct. Ours is on the top there. One of the things, I guess, which is prevailing within the area is that it was really all about just maximising return on these projects, not seeing architecture as a key or vital role. It was more about just providing housing. We wanted to sort of challenge that idea. And so one of the key things that we looked at in the original stage was trying to get a physical connection to the river. And you can see in the top, we've got a link that runs through. And so we created a laneway through that space to actually get a good pedestrian connection to the river itself. So this is a massing study of all the approvals in the area. The coloured version is our project and the purple is the stage 1 project. So it gives you a sense of scale, which is quite a new phenomenon, I guess, for Melbourne in this sort of intensity and scale. But also a 6-tower project is quite new, I guess, for Australian standards. It's more of an international sort of scale type project. One of the key things that we wanted to drive home with the client was that we thought that the stuff around the building, all the amenities, the public spaces were as critical as the actual units themselves. And in the end, COVID proved that right. And so this is an exploded axonometric of the site itself. So the podium's actually, or stage 1 and 2 is actually 100 by 100 by 100, so it's 100 square. And the first 2 towers sit on a 2,500 square metre park on the podium that has all the amenities. And you can see in the street that we've created to actually connect to the river is actually where all the amenities sit, but also creates that public space. And so it has, swimming pool, gyms, theatre rooms, spaces you can rent out as residents. The other thing was, whenever you have economics driving a project, it's very difficult to convince a client that the environment is an important consideration. And so we really pushed hard to try and get as many of the green initiatives into the project, and we're actually quite successful because we argued that I think that the marketplace and generally people are more socially conscious, and they also want better amenity in their apartments. And so we spent a lot of time with our ESD consultants to achieve the 6-star rating, given this building was designed about 6 years ago. Very different marketplace. So the other thing was we wanted to also demonstrate that even though the project's in Footscray, we can exemplify, exemplar architecture, try and convince the client that we want to get some glitz and glamour into the space, making the foyers heroic entries and interesting and engaging spaces, as well as throughout the rest of the development. The thing that was most novel and interesting about the project for us was that it is actually the first project in Australia that has an Olympic-sized running track on the actual podium. And we took advantage of the 100 by 100 square. And so it also has, gym equipment on the outside, outdoor gym, it connects to the park. And so well-being was a driver, actually making sure that the residents who lived here actually had all the amenities they could use. So when COVID kicked in and some of the people actually moved in, it was actually quite a good respite for them. So this is the laneway that connects connection back down to the river. Stage 3 will have the other side of all the commercial and retail use, which is the activation of this particular area. Very, very challenging space to design, given that it had about a 9-metre fall, and so we had to ensure disabled access and people with prams going down the space were able to use it. And so we used that constraint to develop these really nice, interesting moments where you had pods of separation so that you could have breakout spaces that connected back to the retail spaces themselves. And so when stage 3 actually is constructed, you'll have this really beautiful, intimate space that actually has a connection right down to the river space itself. So this is a view from the top of the podium looking down, demonstrating the park space or the open spaces that we actually created. So one of the things that you will find when you go out to the site, it was all industrial space, so greenery didn't really exist. And so we wanted to instill as much greenery. So this photo was taken when it was just constructed, so the landscape would just be planted and hopefully be growing very soon. This section sort of shows you the scale of the site and the podium in relationship to towers. One of the key things that we tried to do is we were very conscious that this building will be seen from all around Melbourne when you go on the Balti Bridge or when you're going from the west. So the floor plates actually shift. We had to fight tooth and nail to keep that within the scheme because it's not the most cost-effective way of designing a building. And the idea was that the building will behave differently depending on where you would be looking at it from, the time of the day, the seasons of the year. And so the idea is that the way that the light hits the building, you get all these beautiful moments of shadow play, and also creating a ribbon that wraps all around the building itself so that you can get vistas all around metropolitan Melbourne. So you get used to the city, you get used to the Flemington Racecourse, you get used to the dockland. So it's a really beautiful moment when you see, the glass that wraps around the building itself. And so you get all these really interesting moments along the facade. And one of the cost-saving measures we were able to convince the client to do this was that we prototyped the actual facade. We got it made in China. I flew to China with the client. We got a couple of stories done, which is windows, balustrading, facade system. We prototyped it, it worked, and then we actually built this in kit form and actually installed it in lifts, like a bit of a Lego kit, which was very challenging to document, but it was very successful in terms of its application and bringing the costs really down. And so these are some views looking outside. So you see that's panoramic strip of glazing that wraps around the building. And again, trying to get the interiors to mimic the exterior facade of this monochromatic palette. And so the idea being that the two sort of buildings interact with each other. This middle tower on the right-hand side is actually the tallest building in actually of the 6 towers. But also ensuring that one of the key things that we're looking at with the proposal is that having the curved edges, you only have a handful of, or half of the actual project that's actually single aspect. So having the curved building enabled you to get a lot of cross ventilation to the corner parts of the building.
Thank you.
Thank you.